Don't make the mistake of treating the discovery call like a sales presentation. That single mistake is costing you thousands of dollars in commissionable income. What's up, team? Welcome to the Catapulting Commission Sales Talk channel. We're going to discuss how to break down and deliver a discovery call that sells every time. I'm Anthony Garcia, your host. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment, give us some feedback on the show. Here's the deal. If you have been in sales for any given point in time, or if you're new to sales, you typically have a sales process that starts when somebody expresses some form of interest in your product, service, or offering. This can either be inbound, where they've reached out to you, or it can be outbound, where you've reached out to them. Bottom line is they've agreed to a meeting with you. When you get on this meeting, the number one mistake sales professionals make is they jump on these meetings and they want to sell. They want to they want to tell your prospect how amazing your company is, the features and benefits and products of working with you. If you're a service-based provider, you're telling them all the goods about what you do. That's the biggest mistake we're making. Now, we have to ask one fundamental question. Now, this question we ask sets the foundation for the entire sales process. This one question we ask is what has helped generate millions of dollars in commissions for the teams that I've worked and managed. My sales team I managed last year had an average commissionable income of over $300,000 by simply utilizing this one discovery call question. Be sure to stick around to the end and I'll share that with you. So let's break down the steps of an ideal discovery call that sells every time. The first is the pre-call plan. You have to have a plan in advance before you start your call. Too many times we jump on a discovery call and it is typically the tenured or more experienced sales professionals that make this mistake. They feel comfortable in everything they know so they can kind of wing it. Well, let me say this. If you're not planning for the prospect you're about to meet with, you don't deserve the credibility that comes with being an expert in your field. Take the time and do the pre-call plan. This means don't ask questions that are available online. Don't show up to your pre-call plan or your discovery call and start asking questions that are easily accessible on LinkedIn, on Google, on Yahoo, on whatever other media source on the company website of the prospect you're meeting with. Do that due diligence in advance. The reason you want to do that due diligence in advance and have a pre-call plan is because you can now pick the stories you're going to share that build credibility in you as the sales professional. You see, every good discovery call has a balancing act of questions and conversations and stories. The best sales professionals share 2 to 4 stories during a discovery call. The ideal timing of a discovery call is anywhere between 30 and 40 minutes. Here's where sales professionals make a mistake. They control the discovery call, when in reality, the balancing of control in a discovery call, it should really go 55% or more to the prospect with 45% coming to the sales professional. You should really almost have that middle ground where I'm asking questions, because if you ask a good question, your prospect will answer, and more times than not, they will ask a question back of you. By doing the research and the pre-call plan and having the stories and having the engaging questions that keeps the conversation going, you can share a story that leads your prospect to ask a question of information you wanted to uncover simply by having done the research in advance. Many sales professionals go to a discovery call with the idea that they first must build rapport. You heard of this before? Build rapport, develop small talk. I hate this statement, but I'm gonna say it right now. People buy from people they like and trust, right? We've all heard that before. That statement is a little overplayed out, is a little misunderstood. Because yes, I do wanna like you, I do wanna trust you, but my like and trust in you as a sales professional comes from the ability of the value you can give me. Not just because I like you, because if I like you and you can't give me anything that I'm looking for, I'm not gonna buy. Don't put all this pressure on building rapport that isn't authentic. Building some small talk is okay, but in building that small talk, here's the one question you have to ask. Do you mind if I ask you some additional questions about your business so I can gain a better understanding of what we're doing here today? You have to get permission to ask more additional questions. The reason you get permission is you give yourself a freebie to to ask as many direct questions as you can later. You see, I did this as a new sales professional when I was scared to just ask questions. 20 years later, I still do the same thing. I get permission to ask questions. Now, after I get permission to ask questions, I set the agenda for the rest of our time together. I typically put a time frame so our prospect is aware of how much time we'll be speaking together. It sounds something like this. Mr. Jones, do you mind if I ask you some questions about your business so I can gain a broader understanding of the situation we're in today? Of course, no problem, Anthony. Great. Just to set the agenda here, we're going to spend about 20 to 30 minutes of me asking some questions, gaining some understanding. Feel free to fire any questions back. At the end, we'll take an agreed upon route of action. You see, I just set that agenda for a timing of 20 to 30 minutes. My prospect will immediately say, no problem, or will turn around and say, actually, I have a hard stop in 30 minutes. I now know at what speed I have to work this discovery call. After I set the agenda, it's now time for me to ask questions. You see, when you ask questions in a discovery call, too many reps waste their time asking information they should have known beforehand, right? Remember that we talked about in the beginning of the video, the pre-call plan. I don't want to ask questions of information that I can validate online. So the questions I want to ask and I want to discover, hence the name discovery call, I want to gain an understanding of the situation at hand. I want the 30,000 view of the situation that I am walking into. By understanding the situation that I'm walking into, I now know which direction to take my conversation. I know which questions are important. I know which questions aren't important. Once I gain understanding of the situation, I want to identify the pain that my prospect is experiencing. There is a reason you are on this discovery call. There is a reason your prospect has agreed to be on this discovery call, and that is to solve a pain. So a good discovery question is going to uncover that pain. And so once I uncover that pain that the prospect is experiencing, I now want to identify the impact of the pain. How is this pain impacting their business? How is this pain impacting them? How is this pain impacting their growth? I want to gain full clarity of the pain and the impact it's having on their business. Remember in the beginning, we asked permission to ask questions. So it is okay to ask the question, how is this impacting your business? How did this affect last year's performance? How did this improve, or how would this improve XYZ? Pick something along the lines of what you're speaking about. Many sales reps have some sort of process where they try to get a situation and they try to identify a pain. Good sales reps will identify the impact of the pain. The best sales reps will identify the urgency that the prospect has in solving the pain. Because if the prospect has urgency in solving this pain, then I know I can push the sales process at an accelerated rate. So let's get an understanding of the situation. Let's identify the pain. How is the pain impacting our prospect? And what is the urgency they have to solve this pain? If you do a great discovery and you ask questions, now this video is not going to list all the questions. Be sure to take the opportunity to subscribe. We have videos in the hopper that discuss the exact questions you need to have a perfect discovery call. But when you ask these questions, gain an understanding of the situation, identify the pain, the impact of the pain, and the urgency to solve the pain. The top 1% of sales professionals, the elite of the elite, the consistent 7-figure earners, the consistent sales entrepreneurs that never look back from the product they're selling because they know it's a way to pave their future. They will quantify that pain and get the prospect to acknowledge the impact. You see, it's one thing to ask what's the impact of this problem you're experiencing. It's another thing to quantify it. By quantifying it, we're simply saying, if you have a problem that is costing your business time or money, how much money is that problem costing you? How much money did it cost you in the past 12 months? You see, the top tier sales professionals find out that number. And then when they find out that number, they get the prospect to acknowledge that. And you do that by simply saying, Mr. Prospect, just so I'm clear and there's no misunderstanding, you just shared with me the current method you're using for your bookkeeping service is costing you to spend an additional 40 hours a week of manual labor of putting your receipts together. Yeah, that 40 hours a week times 52 weeks, It's like a $100,000 problem, would you agree? I just got my prospect to acknowledge the pain, acknowledge the impact of the pain, and acknowledge the quantifiable metrics associated with that pain. That strategy alone right there will make your sales discovery call one of the best your prospect's ever been on. Now, after we gain all that information from our discovery questions, it's time to move the process forward. Too many times sales professionals get this problem. They go through a discovery and they have a very weak conclusion of a discovery call. A weak conclusion of a discovery call sounds like this. I'll email you some info later. Yeah, I'll call you next week to schedule a meeting. It is a non-confrontational way of just ending a conversation. This channel is designed to make you a top-tier sales professional. Take that discovery call and at the end, schedule the next agreed upon action. Move the sales process forward by putting it in the schedule and creating mini accountability steps in the middle. What are mini accountability steps? It is deliverables you deliver and the prospect delivers. Now, I personally want to take full control of this, and my deliverables for my prospect is, hey, just respond to me when I send you an email to know I got the correct one. Or just shoot me a thumbs up when I text you just to make sure I have the right text message number. I am trying to get them just to give some sort of acknowledgement and some sort of communication later. So I literally say at the end, great, we're scheduled to meet next Thursday at 7 a.m. Hey, I'm gonna shoot you a text right now with my cell phone number. Give me a thumbs up, let me know that it's you. I just wanna make sure I don't miss it. I have tons of people giving some agreed upon action. But what I do to add the extra prior to our call at 7 a.m., I'm gonna go ahead and send you whatever prospectus or whatever deliverable. I'll send it to you a week in advance so you can review the slide deck. We'll discuss Thursday. I'll see you then. And at that point, the appointment's on the calendar. I'm going. I don't shoot a reminder call. I don't shoot a reminder email. I deliver what we had discussed, some sort of deliverable metric, and I schedule a hard stone meeting on concrete on the calendar. I do not allow the discovery call to end with a wimpy, oh, let's talk about it later. Now that I scheduled it, the last thing I want to share with you here is the $1 million question. The $1 million question is this. We've been executing this question for nearly 20 years. And I want you to take your discovery call and I want you to step out of the shoes of yourself and put yourself in the shoes of your prospect. They have agreed to give you their most valuable resource, their time. When I jump on a discovery call, I am incredibly grateful for the time I get to spend with the person in front of me that may be paying me for my services or products that I'm selling. You see, they've invested their time to be with me. And so since they've invested their time and that's their most valuable resource, I need to find out one fundamental piece of information. And this question will help shape the rest of the discovery call. And I typically ask this question very early in the discovery call because it tells me how to frame the rest of my questions. And here that question is. Mr. Prospect, thank you for agreeing to meet with me today. By the way, what are you hoping to learn from our time together today? That's it. What are you hoping to learn from our time together today? If you want to sound a little more formal, what objective are you trying to accomplish in our time today? But I like to keep things simple, really simple. What are you hoping to learn from our time together today? The reason this question is important is it tells you instantly what's of importance to your prospect. I'm hoping to learn all about your company. I'm hoping to learn the pricing of you versus your competitors. And if you're having a discovery call and you have an outbound team that scheduled it, honestly, I booked the meeting because you guys kept calling. So what? Whatever it is, I just want to know. So ask that question. That's the $1 million question. What are you hoping to learn from our discovery call today? Or what are you hoping to learn from our time together today? That question alone will improve your discovery call. Now, be sure to do me a favor, like and subscribe because we do have a video in the hopper. The 7 questions you must ask to ace your discovery call. I'm Anthony Garcia. This is the Catapulting Commissions channel. I'll see you next week.